fought in 1789 when the French citizens rose up against their king. At the time, power in France was distributed between three estates. The first estate was made up of religious leaders. The second estate was the nobility. Life was not too bad for them. The third estate was peasants. Most of the people in France belonged to the third estate, and they felt they were appallingly underrepresented in the government. France had been a wealthy country, but they had spent a lot of money helping the American colonies fight for independence. The treasury was completely empty. Frankly, the country wasn't doing too well. The king lived in the Versailles Palace outside the city of Paris. Louis XVI was a nice guy, but clearly not suited to be king. He spent more time making clocks than improving his kingdom. Louis married Marie Antoinette, an Austrian princess and a coquettish gambler. Unlike her husband, she was very interested in being royalty. The queen had no empathy for her poor subjects. While she spent her free time dressed up as a peasant, feeding chickens, and wandering around the exquisite gardens of her palace home, the people of France were raiding bakeries desperate for food. When some poor guy was forced to tell Marie that her people had no bread, it is said that she proclaimed, "Let them eat cake." This probably never happened, of course. The guillotine became famous during the French Revolution because it was a stylish way to execute anybody suspected of disagreeing with the revolutionaries. Maximilien Robespierre was a great speaker and a revolutionary advocate of the Estates General. He was a big fan of the guillotine and beheaded people he thought did not want a revolution. Robespierre also teamed up with a guy named Marat, a journalist who printed names of people he called the enemies of the revolution. Marat was murdered because he became so radical that he printed the names of some innocent people, and they were beheaded. A 24-year-old girl killed him while he was in his bath. The Bastille prison was the first major site of violence during the Revolution. On July 14th, a mob stormed the prison and freed all of the prisoners. Meanwhile, the king was becoming worried and holed himself up in his palace, but the citizens were not impressed. A mob of women attacked the palace, and the royal family tried to escape. Louis was caught just outside the Austrian border, and was sent back to Paris to lose his head. And now Robespierre, you remember Robespierre, he was in charge, which started the Reign of Terror, which is just a fancy name for the period in French history when Robespierre became so paranoid while trying to end the monarchy that he ended up guillotining innocent people. It didn't end well for Robespierre either. This period did produce some good things, though. Voltaire, for instance. He was a very witty French Enlightenment writer and philosopher who wrote about equality and human rights. Voltaire had another French Enlightenment pal named Rousseau. Cumulatively, they wrote more than 20,000 plays, poems, novels, essays, and pamphlets.